William Morrow Mayo moved to Rochester in 1863 to establish a surgical practice while also performing physicals on new recruits for the Union Army. Son William James Mayo was born in 1861, and his brother Charles Horace Mayo was born in 1865. After receiving their medical training, their brothers would return to Rochester to join their father in the medical practice. The Mayo Foundation was established in 1919 when the Mayo Brothers Partnership was dissolved and the assets turned over to the foundation. In 1986, St. Mary's Hospital, Rochester Methodist Hospital, and Mayo Clinic would combine into one healthcare organization. The following images were taken of the Mayo homes and healthcare buildings in 2005. Between 1910 and 1911, Mayowood was constructed by the Dr. Charles Horace Mayo family. Dr. Charles and his wife Edith would raise 8 children there. The 148-room house at one time stood on the grounds that included 3,000 acres. An artificial lake was created by damming the Zumbro River. After many attempts, Dr. Charles was able to generate electricity from the dam to power Mayowood. Islands were created in the lake and suspension bridges were built to give access. Japanese gardens and greenhouses were constructed on the islands. Some of the glass used in the greenhouses came from old glass x-rays. One of the islands had a bathhouse that utilized solar heated water. The house layout is main living area on 2nd floor, bedrooms on 3rd floor, ballroom on 4th floor, and the 5th floor was an observatory. The ballroom would later become the roller rink and playroom for the Mayowood children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Both the 4th and 5th floors are closed to visitors because of their poor condition. In the 1950s and 60s, the house was updated by Charles II and his wife Alice. Green was Alice's favorite color, and almost everything in the house is green. The kitchens were updated with stainless steel appliances, double ovens, trash compactors, features almost unheard of at the time. A custom indoor grill was built by Charles II. For entertainment, the family owned 2 televisions and had a sound system installed from the record player to provide music throughout the house. The original organ and piano still remain in the house. Dr. Henry S. Plummer joined the Mayo Clinic staff in 1901 by a personal request of Dr. Mayo. Dr. Plummer would bring many innovations to the Mayo operation, including the pneumatic tube, the communication system, and the record-keeping system. His wife Daisy was a concert pianist and a patron of the arts. She was also related to the Mayos. The Plumbers would adopt 2 children, Robert and Gertrude. Starting in 1917, Dr. Plummer and his wife Daisy would have a large English Tudor mansion constructed on 65 acres of land in Rochester. Only 11 acres remain. The house was originally known as Quarry Hill, but was later known as the Plummer House. Plans for the house included many of Dr. Plummer's innovative ideas that were advanced for the time, such as an underground sprinkler system, central vacuum system, security system, communication system, dumbwaiter, electric and gas lighting, heated pool, and garage door openers. This was the first house in Rochester to utilize a gas furnace. The house also had its own water tower. By 1924, the estate of the house included garage, water tower, gazebo, and greenhouse. The house is 5 stories tall and over 300 feet long. There are 49 rooms, 10 bathrooms, 9 bedrooms, and 5 fireplaces. A quarter of the exterior stone came from the property. After Dr. Plummer's death in 1935, Daisy Plummer continued living there until 1969, at which time the house and grounds were given to the Art Center. 3 years later, the Rochester Park and Recreation would take over the house, making it a public park. Dr. Plummer and his wife Daisy dedicated a room in their house to Thomas Ellerby, the architect for their home. The Ellerby Company was founded in 1909 by Franklin Ellerby, and the company developed a relationship with the Mayos early on, assisting with their clinic in 1913 and many other projects throughout the years, such as the Mayo Building and Gonda Building. With the acquisition of the Welton Becket Company in 1988, the name was changed to Ellerby Becket. While Dr. Charles preferred country living, Dr. Will preferred to live in the city and built this impressive stone mansion on 4th Street Southwest in 1916. In 1938, he donated the home to the Mayo Foundation to serve as a meeting place. Rochester, Minnesota was hit by a terrible tornado in 1883. Many people died or were injured. Temporary hospitals were set up in local hotels and offices. Nuns from the teaching order of the Sisters of St. Francis volunteered as nurses. Mother Alfred Mose, the founder of the sisterhood, was convinced that a permanent hospital was needed in Rochester. She approached the elder Dr. Mayo with the idea which would lead to the opening of a 27-bed St. Mary's Hospital in 1888. As the hospital grew, buildings were added named after the sisters. Built over 75 years ago, the Plummer Building is one of the oldest buildings still part of the Mayo Clinic complex. When it opened in 1929, it was considered one of the most efficient and modern healthcare buildings in the world. Until recent years, it was also the tallest Mayo building. The first 2 stories are built of limestone. Above the limestone is brick. The Mayo Building was built in 1955, 12 stories tall. In 1968, an additional 8 stories were added. Between the Mayo Building and Plumber Building, the Annenberg Plaza will open fall 2005. In the lobby of the Mayo Building is the Mayo Clinic Heritage Hall Museum. Opened in 2001, the Gonda building is the latest addition to the Mayo Clinic complex. Primary use is outpatient services. The Gonda building connects with the Mayo building, Eisenberg building, and the Damon West parking lot. Construction was planned in 3 phases. 2 phases have been completed. Phase 3 will add a 10-story tower. On completion, this will be the largest interconnected medical facility in the world. This was the Mayo Clinic's largest building project to date and was honored in the 2003 MIA Pinnacle Awards. 20 varieties of marble and granite were used in the construction. The Gonda building takes its name from Leslie and Susan Gonda, a family well known for their medical or related philanthropy around the world. Leslie's real last name is Goldschmied, but he had it changed to Gonda after escaping from the Kameram forced labor camp in 1944. Susan, also born in Hungary, survived internment at Auschwitz. Arriving in California in 1963, wise real estate investments proved very lucrative for the Gonda family. Directly connected to the Plumber Building is the Stevens Building, the Center for Educational Programs. You'll find many lecture halls and displays within the Stevens Building. Located in the subway level of the Stevens Building is the Patient Education Center. Here you will find health information, medical models and exhibits, and classes taught by patient education specialists. The Osmond Building is the former Olmsted County Courthouse property. Mayo purchased the property when the new government center was constructed. Osmond East houses the Human Resources Department of Mayo. The Baldwin Building is the Urgent Care Center for Mayo. There is an attached parking ramp in the rear of the building. Across the street from the Baldwin Building is the Harwick Building, home for medical records and statistics. On the main floor is a large cafeteria with one greenhouse wall, giving a fantastic view of the flowers and plants in the outside courtyard. Before entering the cafeteria, you will notice a painting of Harry J. Harwick, the man this building is named after. Will Mayo convinced Harwick to leave his bank clerk position to join the Mayo practice as an administrator. Research labs are housed in the Guggenheim Building. Construction was completed in 1974, but 11 stories were added in 1990. The east side portion of the building is known as the Conrad Hilton Building, after a large gift from the hotel founder in the 1970s. The Hilton Building houses the blood bank and clinical labs. Adjacent to the Damon parking ramp is the Feith Family Statuary Park. Here you will find bronze statues of Dr. William Worrell Mayo, Mother Alfred Mose, Dr. Charles Horace Mayo, and Dr. William James Mayo. John and Elizabeth Feith had been associated with Mayo for over 20 years. Through their generous gift and that of the Centex Rogers contractors, the statues were made possible. Although not a Mayo building, the Mayo Civic Center serves an important function in downtown Rochester. The building was built in 1938 and was named the Mayo Civic Auditorium. Additional work was done to the building in 1972 and 1978 after the damage from the 1978 flood. The name was changed to the Mayo Civic Center in 1984 after substantial additions and changes were made. Connection to the Skyway system was completed in 1995. Further additions to the building were done in 1997 and 98. Rochester Civic Theater and Rochester Arts Center are at opposite ends of the Mayo Civic Center. After the remodeling of the Mayo Civic Center in 1996, it was decided to move the Seth Thomas Escapement Tower Clock from its location in front of U.S. Bank to a spot in front of the newly remodeled Mayo Civic Center. The tower clock began its life in the original Central Fire Station in Rochester 100 years ago. Moving the clock was expensive, and weekly checkups are needed to keep the clock displaying the correct time. Rochester firefighters handle the adjustments. In 2000, a time capsule was placed at the base of the tower clock. Items were locked up to be opened in 2025. Subway and Skyway system connect not only downtown Mayo buildings, but also connect to hotels, restaurants, retail, parking ramps, financial institutions, entertainment, the public library, and the government center. There are also many shops and restaurants within the subway system. Center Place Galleria is a large retail and restaurant complex that is connected to subway and Skyway system. Former Rochester Methodist Hospital is now known as the Eisenberg Building. Directly connected to the Eisenberg Building is the Charlton Building and the Colonial Building, which was once the main building of the original Methodist Hospital. Originally, the Colonial Building started in 1916 as a convalescent hotel. In the following year, it became part of the Kaler Roberts Corporation, which had an interest in hospitals at one time. Colonial Hospital also had nurses training for many years. The school and hospital were sold to the Rochester Methodist Hospital in 1954. More modern is the Charlton Building, which has a heliport on the roof and large atrium areas. Charter House is a retirement facility that is affiliated with Mayo. It is physically connected with Mayo Complex through a skyway into the Charlton North Building. Besides many healthcare options, there are a variety of activities for entertainment and education. In the summer of 2005, the Minnesota Partnership for Biotechnology and Medical Genomics started construction of a new research facility on top of the Vincent A. Steibel Building. This collaboration between Mayo and the U of M is seen as a significant source of new jobs as well as health benefits from new discoveries. The Franklin Heating Plant supplies the heating and cooling for the downtown Mayo Medical Center buildings and the Kaler Hotel in Rochester. Prospect Utility Plant was constructed to supplement the Franklin Heating Plant with cooling and emergency electrical power. The new plant was connected to the existing distribution system. Mayo Medical School is located in the Ruth and Frederick Mitchell Student Center. It takes their names after their generous donation in 1985 for remodeling. Land that the center is built on has always been Mayo land, but had been deeded to be used as a public library. When the library expanded in 1971 to the former J.C. Penney building, Mayo purchased the building and converted it to the medical school. The building was built in 1937 entirely of dolomite limestone. The medical science building behind the Harwick building is normally covered with vegetation. As vacant buildings become available in northwest Rochester, Mayo has taken them over for their needs. Mayo Inventory Center is located in former warehouse space on Valley High Road Northwest. In the former Celestica building, Mayo Superior Drive Support Center handles the testing duties for over 20,000 samples per day. Further expansion is underway, which will allow 4 laboratories to be moved from the downtown Hilton building. Mayo Support Center was formerly the Western Digital Building.